Welcome back to the weekly movie and TV roundup. Now, this one has to be a little bit faster than the rest of them because I'm rushing to actually go live in a second to talk about the Oscar nominations as they come out. Go check out the live stream. Should have a couple of shorts and videos out for that as well. But without further ado, let's talk about the worst and the best and everything in between that came out this week. There's not a ton that came out, but one of the things that is releasing, at least for me here in Switzerland, I know it's not getting a US release, but I think it is coming out in Switzerland and Germany, is Roman Polanski's new film, The Palace. And I saw this one in Venice. It's set in Zermatt, or at least somewhere in Switzerland, around the Y2K celebrations, and is a comedy that is so incredibly unfunny with a bunch of has-beens in there. And yeah, it's just really, really bad. And I don't think Polanski needs to keep making movies. I don't think he has much to say going by this really bad comedy. Next up, Boy Swallows Universe. I was actually quite keen for this one. Phoebe Tonkin, I still know her from a bit days back where she was playing a mermaid. Here it's a novel adaptation from an Aussie novel that came out in 2018. But for me, it kind of played like a typical coming-of-age drama with a lot of crime, with a lot of over-the-top, over-dramatized stuff that is happening to a young character that there's maybe some truth in there. I just thought it was like really thrown together overall as this limited series that is streaming over on Netflix. Yeah, I didn't really like it. Aquaman. Now, I have a couple of films that I don't recommend you'd see, and I don't recommend you go see it right now unless you got some other ways to get your hands on it. But on premium video on demand, so you have to buy it, you can't rent it now, is Aquaman. It's bad. Same goes for Migration, the latest Illumination film, as well as Night Swim, the obligatory horror film of January, and the really bad animated film from late last year from Disney. Just wait until this one hits streaming on Disney+. But let's get to some better stuff. Percy Jackson. Now, the series is gonna keep airing. I think it's the last time that I'll talk about it here because I have finished the show. I got screeners for it. Thank you, Disney, for that. And I think it's a really successful children's entertainment show that adapts this, I guess, really beloved series by now, like Gen X millennials, I guess. It's, I guess, a bit younger skewing than the the Harry Potter series. And I have never read a book. I haven't watched any of the other movies, but I think it does tell a pretty fun story overall, and it's obviously leading into more to tell. And yeah, I had a good time with it. If you like that Greek mythology stuff, then Percy Jackson might just be for you. Then on Netflix in the States, you can now watch Dumb Money without an additional surcharge, so no need to rent it or premium VOD. It is now on a streaming service, so if you got a VPN and you got Netflix, hey, you can catch up on it if you missed it. It's decent. I think it came out too early. It doesn't have much to say, but it's got a fun cast around it. I don't think, yeah, it's a great film, but it's better than I expected it to be. Now, speaking of things that are better than I expected them to be, producer Kevin, that recently joined our cast for the Quiet on Set podcast, recommended this to me. I looked at the post and was like, oh, he's fucking with me. He's just like giving me some stupid straight to VOD thing. And then I looked closer at it and I saw, oh, there's some familiar faces in it, especially Scott Adkins, a stunt movie guy legend, I don't know, action hero legend on these, I guess, straight to VOD releases. This is the second film. The first one is called One Shot. I hope we get a third one that is called One Last Shot. We actually have a short review with Kevin talking about both of these films on the Quiet on Set channel. I'll link them below. But this was just a ton of fun. I think it's the best showcase for building tension through a one take, using that gimmick well, because both of these films are shot with a faked one take. And yeah, just great all around action. I'm not the biggest action guy, but I actually was enthralled with the story that they were telling here. So props to them. Really worth checking out. It's also, because it is such a straight to VOD release, you can rent it for like $5. So way cheaper than some of these other films that come in the digital window. And then finally, for the decent section, Amanda, a film that I caught back in Venice at the Venice Film Festival back in 2022, and it finally, I guess, after getting some limited theatrical runs, is now streaming on the Criterion channel. That is only available in the States, but I got around it, so I can actually see it here from Switzerland as well. So if you can do the same, then Amanda is pretty fun. It's about like this sort of coming of age, but she's like way too old to be still coming of age. But she's just kind of a nuisance to everyone around her, a really entitled brat that, yeah, does she learn a lesson? Does she become more adult? I don't know. Are we just kind of giving her a pass for just doing whatever, just like strolling alongside her in this really weird journey that she goes on? But it's fairly entertaining. Could have been way worse with this premise, but the lead kind of carries it as well. So yeah, fairly decent and entertaining. So let's get to the best stuff of the week. There's only a couple of films that I haven't mentioned before. Actually, I think pretty much all of them are repeats, but Fallen Leaves is now streaming on Mubi US and a couple of other services in other countries. I think it's not in Mubi Switzerland for me. There's also no VOD sale for it yet, so you can't rent or buy the film. It is only streaming on Mubi, and I don't know when it will be available otherwise, so your best guess, I guess, is to go to Mubi. They also have a free trial. This is worth it, though. Fallen Leaves is really great. We might actually be talking about that as our main review next week on the podcast. The Breaking Ice, now this only has a Swiss release this week, but I think it had a limited run in some countries, I think in the States already as well, and we'll highlight it again once it comes out a bit more widely available on digital. But this is just a really stellar story about a couple of people who are stranded next to the North Korean border in China, and it seems like this is like more an intimate tale on the physical side of like, hey, this is a throuple. It's not really that. It's all about like solitude and finding kind of companionship in that through friendship as well. It's a really well shot and well directed and also really well acted film. It blew me away. I wasn't expecting it to be this great. So go give The Breaking Ice a try, or at least watch list it. Then Poor Things, another shout out. It's been like the third week I've mentioned this, but it's out in Swiss theaters now. So go give it a try if you are here or if it's playing soon for you. I'm sure that in the Oscar nominations that I'm about to watch, we'll hear Emma Stone's name for sure, and maybe even Willem Dafoe and Mark Ruffalo, and we'll get them in other categories like production design, cinematography, maybe, and of course, best film, maybe even director for Yorgos Lanthimos. All deserved. This is a stellar film, really entertaining, so go give it a try if you haven't already. And then finally, Michael Mann, Ferrari. I'm a bit higher on it than some other people are. Some great visuals, some not so great visuals, but I can forgive it that. I also can forgive it the kind of weird performances that are happening with the American cast, all doing American stuff, all doing Italian stuff, and there's some rough moments in it, and definitely wasn't the best place to premiere this in Italy at Venice. But yeah, I actually quite liked what Ferrari had to offer. I'd be interested in a director's cut as well, if there's one out there that shows a bit more of the racers that we don't really get to focus on as much. But that's it for this week. Not as much to talk about this week, but let me know what you've been watching, and I guess go check out the video I did about the Oscar nominations. There's a bunch that should be on the channel soon. Go see some films, and I'll see you next week.